After getting a chance to try out Battlefield 5's alpha, I can't lie, I was getting a bit concerned on the new Fortification feature, considering that it was a big part of our next Battlefield title, knowing that it was coming from Fortnite and seeing it not really becoming anything up to par or an improvement from Fortnite itself was discouraging me a little bit. Of course, it was just the alpha, so I was hoping DICE would roll around with new features or improvements to this when the open beta rolled around, and hearing from the Gamescom that there was more a strategic point to fortifications in a way where you could fortify off different passageways. That did sound promising. Finally, the open beta showed up for us, and I got a chance to try it out myself along with a lot of you out there, and we finally get to see a little bit more on what fortifications will actually bring to the battlefield. We have sections on the new Rotterdam map, such as Sea Flag, that has 9 passageways to get to the capture zone. What's really cool that I'm liking on fortifications is seeing more of that strategic value when it comes to this new feature. We're seeing the ability to fortify off a couple of the passageways to get into Sea Flag. You're able to actually build sandbags up high enough where the enemy player cannot vault over them, and they're resorted to either running around and finding a new passageway, or by using an explosion to knock down these sandbags. So there's a little bit more of a use case scenario when it comes to fortifications, something that I think is a big improvement. I was originally calling for DICE to expand fortifications and give more liberty on the player on where he wants to build, giving him more items as well. Not that I have stopped advocating for that position. I think the strategic value of certain areas such as Rotterdam and Sea Flag, where you're actually able to barricade off an actual passageway, is pretty sufficient enough. So seeing a little bit more of how DICE is taking the route of fortifications, as much as it's not quite exactly what I was looking for, I'm seeing again the use case for this new feature. We have D Flag, another section on the map where you're actually able to fortify off a passageway, giving you again a little bit of peace of mind where you can take your attention elsewhere, not being so concerned if an enemy player is going to go down that route. Unfortunately, those are the only 2 flags on the map where you can actually fortify off a passageway. The other flags are a bit more open, so you are left to trying to build different barricades and barriers that you can kind of post up on and get your gun out and see if you can maybe take out enemy players, which is giving you a little bit more cover when you have built those certain items. All the classes on Battlefield 5 are capable of building those previously mentioned items on the new Rotterdam map. However, it is the support class where this builder tool is heavily featured, as not only can you build items much faster, but you can build with more variety. I saw the use case of this being really implemented around A Flag, where if you were going to try to fortify the very bottom part of that flag with sandbags, it took you a lot of time if you were just all the other classes excluding the support class. And even if you got a chance to finally get all those sandbags built, enemy player could just easily go over to the sandbags and vault right over them. When it came to support class though, you could build those sandbags much faster, and then alongside that you could actually build barbed wire around the outer rim of the sandbags, which would eliminate the route for an enemy player to vault over them if they didn't have a melee weapon equipped that could cut barbed wire. I could see this barbed wire use case for the support class being implemented a little bit more on D Flag as well, as you could build barbed wire on the outer rim of the sandbags that you have built. I saw a couple times where enemy players were forced to get right up next to the barbed wire and try to hide themselves by just barely getting on the capture zone, but not having a melee weapon to cut that barbed wire and make it over those sandbags. So I thought that was pretty cool to see that. We see a little bit more features being implemented around B Flag. We're seeing again those tank stoppers coming back onto Rotterdam. I had a situation where I was actually able to build the tank stoppers and actually prevent a tank from moving forward, so that was pretty cool to see some of those features actually having a good use case on the battlefield. Fortifications is still not quite as expansive as I would like it to be. However, the ability to fortify off different passageways is a bit of a big deal in my opinion. So I am seeing that use case evolve. Again, that allows you to take your attention off that general area and focus it elsewhere. So again, I am seeing the use case beginning to develop slowly but surely, but I am seeing the point of it. It does make me curious how the support class will evolve from here, as again, you could just equip a melee weapon that could break barbed wire, or find a explosive device that could blow off those sandbags. So you know, it isn't impossible to get past those routes. So it makes me curious if possibly DICE will implement features for support class where they can not only build a more variety of items, but the items that they build are more efficient. So maybe instead of sandbags, they are able to build like a cement wall, where you're not just gonna be able to take any explosive device to actually blow out that wall, or maybe you know, stronger form of barbed wire that you can't just easily cut, or may take you a few more swings than normal. So that makes me really curious on what they could do with the support class. Personally, for me, I would like to see them go down that route, or at least go down the route where the support class is able to build as many sandbags as they want and fortify off the whole area if they have the chance. I think you can't fall somewhere in between when it comes to fortifications. We saw Daniel Berlin being interviewed by Westy during the big Battlefield 5 reveal in May, talking about squad gameplay and how if Battlefield is a squad type of game, then squad gameplay needs to be meaningful in BF5, and that is the reason why they implemented attrition. It's that exact same type of sentiment I hope they bring over to Fortifications, making Fortifications meaningful and not falling somewhere in between. We can't have scenarios on C flag where if it wasn't easy enough for an enemy player to swap over their melee weapon to cut the barbed wire the support class can set up, they could just easily run over to the left or right side of them and find another passageway that can't be fortified at all. It's scenarios like this I think doesn't help Fortifications. Whether Battlefield wants to implement consequences for swapping over your melee weapon, where the melee weapon that can cut the barbed wire doesn't do as much damage when trying to melee enemy players, or by making the passageways that you can't fortify a further distance you need to travel to, or by giving the support class more efficiency when they build these certain items, where if they build barbed wire, it takes more than just one easy swing to cut the barbed wire. I think the ideas are endless in my opinion that you can make Fortifications more impactful. In my opinion, Fortifications only reaches that point when, and only when unfortunately, you're on the other side of something that's been fortified, realizing how screwed you are because of what was just built. It's got to reach that point where you're realizing, wow, this is really impacting my gameplay. And as of right now in the open beta, I can find just a real simple solution to get around these fortified items. So that's again what I would like to see improved, just a larger leap when it comes to Fortifications. Again, I see where DICE is going with it and I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying what they have implemented so far, but I think they need to take a larger step when it comes to Fortifications, really cementing it as a new feature in our Battlefield title. I'm not even making a big deal about the buggy nature of Fortifications. I'm sure a lot of you have an issue where you're having a hard time getting the fortified system to register, and sometimes it's getting a hard time to, you know, load it on the battlefield and seeing your builder tool actually build the item you're trying to build. I'm not even making a big deal about that because I think they're going to fix that by the time it gets launched in November. My big issue is the mindset behind Fortifications and seeing it really implemented heavily in BF5. But that's my take on Fortifications right now. Feel free to let me know what you guys think about it. Do you think it's enough already? Would you like to see implemented more? If so, how would you like to see that evolve in BF5? Would be curious to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. But that is it for you guys today. Again, always appreciate you guys being here. I am Livin', and I'll catch you guys again later.